Our first guest is a two-time Grammy Award-winning singer. She's an author, she's a chef, she's a mother, she's an actress, and all in all, she's an all-around superstar and queen of many of our hearts.
Ever scrolled through your feed and had to do a double take so hard you almost caught whiplash? We're talking about those legendary screen queens who've lived 1,000 lives since their debut. Whether they're defying the laws of physics by aging backward, or they've swapped their iconic 90s aesthetic for a totally new vibe, these women are unrecognizable in the best way possible. Grab your iced coffee, because these 20 stunning transformations are about to leave you absolutely shook. Number 20. Grace Jones. Grace Jones isn't just an actress. She's a literal biological glitch in the Matrix, who has spent the last 5 decades reinventing the concept of cool. If you look at her back in the 80s during her iconic A View to a Kill era, she was the absolute blueprint for the androgynous chic movement. With her razor-sharp cheekbones and that legendary gravity-defying flat top, she looked like a high-fashion statue come to life. Fast forward to 2026, and honestly, the woman is still serving the same extraterrestrial energy at 77 years old. While she's leaned even further into avant-garde headpieces and dramatic sculptural fashion, her skin has this luminous velvet quality that makes you wonder if she's actually figured out how to stop time. She's traded the 80s spandex for sheer capes and dramatic hoods, but that piercing gaze remains exactly the same. You wouldn't recognize her today simply because her style has evolved into something so futuristic, it's hard to believe she belongs to the same timeline as the rest of us. She's gone from being a disco queen to a living art piece who still walks runways like she owns the building. She is the ultimate reminder that staying true to your weirdness is the best skincare routine. 19. Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams made history in 1984 as the first Black Miss America, and back then, she was the absolute epitome of doll-faced beauty, with big 80s hair and even bigger aspirations. If you remember her from the Ugly Betty or Desperate Housewives days, she had that polished corporate glam look down to a science. But check her out in 2026, and the transformation is wild. Not because she looks older, but because she looks more refreshed and vibrant than she did 20 years ago. She's currently rocking a blonde curl vibe and a much more relaxed, quiet luxury aesthetic that feels miles away from her pageant days. Fans have been buzzing lately about her 2026 red carpet appearances, where her jawline and radiant complexion have everyone asking for her skincare routine. Or her surgeon's number, let's be real. She's transitioned from the America's Sweetheart vibe into a sophisticated Broadway powerhouse with a look that is effortlessly chic and decidedly modern. She's effectively moved from the pageant girl mold into a high society maven look that feels authentic to her talent. Seeing her now is a shock because she's managed to maintain that flawless Miss America glow while adopting a completely different, much more mature and commanding aura that suits her status. 18. Patti LaBelle. The godmother of soul has always been known for her over-the-top hair and enough sequins to be seen from outer space. In the 80s and 90s, Patti was all about the more is more philosophy. Massive wigs, dramatic shoulder pads, and theatrical makeup that matched her legendary vocal range. If you saw her today on her latest tour, you might actually walk right past her if she wasn't belting out a high note. At 81, she's toned down the chaotic energy for a look that is pure, refined elegance. Her current style is much more streamlined, often opting for sleek bobs and sophisticated pantsuits that scream, wealthy auntie who owns a vineyard. While she still loves a bit of sparkle, the transformation from the wild, gravity-defying hair of her New Attitude days to the polished, timeless icon she is now is a total 180. She looks younger and more energized today than she did in her 50s, proving that life, and a successful sweet potato pie empire, really does keep you glowing. The change is so significant because she's traded the performer mask for a legend look that focuses on her natural bone structure and a much softer, dewier makeup palette that literally takes decades off her face. 17. Lynn Whitfield. In the 90s, Lynn Whitfield was the undisputed queen of the sophisticated femme fatale. Whether she was playing Josephine Baker or terrorizing Martin Lawrence in a thin line between love and hate, she had this very specific, sharp-edged glamour. It was all about the perfect red lip, structured suits, and a bob so tight it didn't move an inch. Today, she's completely shed that rigid persona. In her more recent roles, she's embraced a much softer, more ethereal look. Her hair is often seen in long, flowing waves or natural textures, and her makeup is dewy and minimal. She's traded the "don't touch me" aura for a mother-of-the-tribe warmth that makes her look entirely different. Her beauty has ripened into something much more organic and approachable, which is a huge shift from the icy, untouchable perfection she was known for early in her career. When you see her on Instagram today,
the industry continues to understand that this is valid, this has an audience.
Right.
She's often lounging in linens with a fresh face, looking like she's discovered a secret fountain of youth that only gives out its secrets to those who relax. The transition from a sharp-edged starlet to a soft-lit icon is so complete that she feels like a totally new person, bringing a different kind of energy to the screen. 16. Lisa Bonet. Lisa Bonet was the ultimate it girl of the 80s as Denise Huxtable, defined by her eclectic, boho chic layering and that youthful, wide-eyed look. She was the poster child for the effortless, cool girl style that every teenager in America tried to copy. Today, Lisa has evolved into a mystical, high-fashion bohemian priestess. She's rarely seen without her signature floor-length locks, intricate tattoos, and a wardrobe that looks like it was sourced from an ancient bazaar rather than a Hollywood boutique. She's leaned so heavily into her Earth Mama energy that she looks like a completely different person from the girl who lived in Brooklyn in the 80s. Her face has aged with so much grace, it's almost spooky. She has this serene, timeless look that makes her seem like she's stepped out of a folk tale rather than a sitcom. She's moved from teenage rebel to Zen goddess, and the vibe shift is total. The sheer mystery she carries now is a massive departure from the bubbly, accessible girl we grew up with on television. She doesn't just look different, she carries herself with a grounded, spiritual weight that makes her previous Hollywood life feel like a distant dream. Seeing her now is like looking at a piece of living history that keeps getting better. 15. Jasmine Guy. Jasmine Guy will forever be Whitley Gilbert to a generation of fans, synonymous with Southern belle attitude, pearls, and perfectly coiffed hair. Back in the A Different World days, her look was very proper and high maintenance, fitting the princess archetype perfectly. If you see her today, that Whitley persona is long gone. Jasmine has embraced a much edgier, more artistic aesthetic.
This queen is truly from a different world, and she's adding more jewels to her crown in sci-fi superstition.
She often sports shorter, natural hairstyles or salt and pepper looks that highlight her incredible bone structure in a way the 90s makeup never did. She's also leaned into a more relaxed, bohemian, intellectual style. The transformation isn't just about aging, it's about a total personality shift in her public image. She's gone from the uptown girl to the downtown artist, and honestly, the unfiltered Jasmine Guy is a vibe we didn't know we needed. The sharp, comedic wit is still there, but it's wrapped in a package that feels much more authentic and less produced. When you see her in recent interviews, the soft, natural evolution of her face and the confidence in her eyes make her look like a completely different woman than the girl who was obsessed with Hillman College. She's a testament to the idea that you can outgrow your most famous character and look better doing it. But who managed to keep that 90s glow while the rest of us were just trying to survive high school? This one might be one of your Hollywood crushes, too. 14. Halle Berry. Halle Berry has been the undisputed gold standard of global beauty for decades. And back in the day, She was the absolute queen of the pixie cut and that effortless girl-next-door charm that had everyone in a chokehold. We all vividly remember that iconic orange bikini moment in D Another Day. It wasn't just a movie scene. It was a total cultural reset that defined an entire era of Hollywood glamour. But honestly, look at her now. Halle hasn't just aged. She has completely reinvented her entire essence as a hardcore fitness enthusiast and a literal, real-life action hero. Her style has made a massive shift from that polished, pageant queen perfection of the 90s to a rugged, I could definitely kick your butt aesthetic that is somehow even more attractive. While she used to be the face of sleek, short hair, she's now often seen rocking long, beachy balayage waves or edgy, undercut styles that are a far cry from the classic look of her Oscar-winning era. It's like her face found the cosmic pause button around 2002 and just decided to stay there. She actually looks leaner, stronger, and more glowy today in her late 50s than she did in her 30s. The vibe has shifted from being a traditional bombshell to being an absolute powerhouse, and the visual change is nothing short of striking. She has swapped those delicate red carpet gowns for tactical gear, high-performance yoga wear, and a bruised mentality that shows in her incredible physique. Her skin looks like it hasn't encountered a single pore since 1992, and her glow is practically radioactive. The transformation is so deep because she's changed her entire physical presence, moving from the role of a delicate, sought-after starlet to a woman who looks like she could lead an elite army into battle without breaking a sweat. It's a total, ground-up evolution of what beauty actually means in the modern age, proving that Halle Berry isn't just a legend, she's a force of nature. 13. Nia Long. Nia Long was the face of every 90s classic, from Boys and the Hood to Friday. She was the ultimate pretty girl, with the short bob and the minimalist 90s makeup. Today, Nia has transitioned into a regal matriarch look that is absolutely stunning, but totally different from her young starlet days. She's traded the trendy 90s looks for timeless, high-fashion elegance. Her skin remains flawless, but she's embraced a much fuller, softer look with her hair and wardrobe. She's moved away from the girl of your dreams vibe and into the woman who runs the boardroom. When you see her on red carpets now, she carries a weight of sophistication that makes her unrecognizable to those who only remember her as the girl from the block. Her style is now centered on luxury fabrics and structured silhouettes that highlight her status as Hollywood royalty. The change is subtle but profound. She's kept the beauty but changed the story her look tells. She no longer looks like the girl next door. She looks like the woman who owns the entire neighborhood. It's a masterclass in aging with a sense of purpose and power, making her one of the most respected transformations in the industry. 12. Regina King. Regina King's transformation is perhaps one of the most dramatic in Hollywood history.
She is Regina King, nominated for Lead Actress, Series or TV Movie for 7 Seconds, Supporting Actress.
If you go back to her early days on 227, she was the cute kid next door with the pigtails and the bright smile. In the 90s, she was the supportive best friend or girlfriend in every major movie. But then, something shifted. Regina transformed into a powerhouse director and an Oscar-winning actress, and her look followed suit. She went from approachable to unstoppable. Today, she's known for her incredibly toned physique and high-fashion, architectural red carpet looks that always top the best-dressed lists. She often wears her hair in intricate braids or sleek, commanding updos. The softness of her early career has been replaced by a sharp, focused intensity that is visible in her eyes and her posture. She doesn't just look like she's aged, she looks like she's evolved into a higher version of herself. When you see photos of her now compared to the 90s, the difference in her confidence and physical presence is so vast, it's like looking at two different people. She has carved out a new identity as a sophisticated, athletic, and formidable force in the industry, and her beauty has only intensified with time. 11. Jada Pinkett-Smith. Jada started out as the feisty, petite firecracker in a different world and set it off. Her 90s look was very much about that urban cool aesthetic, leather jackets, short hair, and bold attitude that made her a fan favorite. Fast forward to today, and Jada has undergone a massive physical and spiritual transformation that has changed her entire public profile. She's been very open about her journey with alopecia, and her shaved head has become a symbol of her strength and vulnerability. This move from the 90s hottie to a transparent truth seeker has changed her entire aura. Her style is now very minimalist and high concept, often featuring neutral tones, draped fabrics, and stunning jewelry that highlights her bone structure. She looks like a modern-day philosopher or a futuristic queen, a far cry from the bad girl image that launched her career. Striking because it's so intentional. She has stripped away the Hollywood armor of wigs and heavy makeup to reveal a raw, striking beauty that is entirely her own. She looks more powerful now than she ever did, and the visual shift is a direct reflection of her internal growth. It's a brave and beautiful transformation that has redefined her entire career. Number 10. Angela Bassett. Let's be real, Angela Bassett is not human. In the 90s, she was already incredibly fit for her role as Tina Turner, but her current look is even more mind-blowing. At an age where most people are slowing down, Angela looks like she's just getting started. Her transformation is about the sheer level of sculptedness she's achieved. In the 90s, she had a more traditional Hollywood glam look. Think red lips and big hair. Today, she's a Marvel-level warrior with arms that have their own fan base. Whether she's rocking a waist-length ponytail or her natural curls, her look is about power and longevity. She's unrecognizable today because she simply hasn't aged in the way our brains expect humans to age. She's the living definition of black don't crack, and she's used it to reinvent herself as a global icon of strength. When she walks onto a red carpet in 2026, she looks more youthful and energized than women half her age. The secret isn't just in the gym, it's in the way she carries herself with an untouchable, regal grace. She has moved beyond being a beautiful actress to being a genetic phenomenon that continues to leave the world in absolute awe. 9. Vivica A. Fox. Vivica A. Fox was the 90s bombshell in Independence Day and soul food, known for her sultry look and high glam style that made her a household name. Over the years, Vivica has embraced the Hollywood diva aesthetic to the absolute fullest. Her look today is much more curated. She loves a bold lash, a contoured face, and hair that is always laid to perfection. She's moved away from the natural, fresh-faced look of the mid-90s and into a more maximalist beauty vibe. Whether she's hosting a red carpet or starring in a high-stakes thriller, she's always serving high-octane glamour. The change is significant because she's leaned so heavily into the glam side of Hollywood, creating a persona that is much more larger-than-life than her early roles ever suggested. Her face has a different kind of intensity now, fueled by years of experience and a commitment to staying in the spotlight. While you can still see the girl from Set It Off in her smile, the polished, ultra-glamorous woman of today is a different beast entirely. She has built a brand around being the auntie of Hollywood, and her look reflects that mixture of fierce loyalty and unapologetic high-maintenance beauty. Ready to see the queens who literally stopped the clock and threw away the key? 8. Gabrielle Union. Gabrielle Union has been playing a teenager since the 90s, and honestly, she could probably still pull it off if she wanted to. In Bring It On, she was the head cheerleader, and that youthful glow became her trademark. But looking at her today, the transformation is really in her confidence and her willingness to take risks. She's moved away from the sweet girl image and embraced a much more daring, fashion-forward look. She's constantly experimenting with her hair, from blunt bobs to massive afros, and her style has become much more editorial and high fashion. She's unrecognizable not because she looks older, but because she's shed the cheerleader skin and stepped into the role of a mogul author and activist. She looks more current today than most 20-year-olds on TikTok. Her skin is practically reflective, and her style is so on point that she's often the one setting the trends rather than following them. The evolution from a 90s teen star to a modern-day fashion powerhouse is a complete transformation. She has managed to keep the same face while building a completely new, much more formidable identity. She is proof that you don't have to change your looks to change your whole vibe. 7. Sanaa Lathan. Sanaa Lathan was the ultimate romantic lead in the early 2000s, with a soft, classic beauty that defined movies like Love and Basketball.
Did you know how to play basketball? So I did not. I had never picked up a basketball, never. And
She always had this very refined and polished look that made her the dream girl for an entire generation. However, a few years ago, she shaved her head for a role and decided to keep it natural for a long time, which completely changed her vibe. She went from the girl next door to an earthy, grounded woman who seems entirely comfortable in her own skin. Even as she's let her hair grow back, she's maintained a much more natural, low-key beauty aesthetic. She looks incredibly youthful, but there's a new peace in her face that wasn't there during her high-pressure Hollywood breakout years. She's traded the leading lady pressure for a more authentic, soulful presence. When you see her now, she looks like she's living her best life, far away from the heavy makeup and structured looks of her early career. The transformation is spiritual as much as it is physical. She looks younger today because she seems lighter. She's moved from being a star to being a soul, and that shift has made her look entirely different to her fans. 6. Bianca Lawson. Bianca Lawson is a literal legend because she famously played a teenager for about 25 years straight. From Saved by the Bell to Pretty Little Liars, she stayed 17 forever, and it became one of the internet's favorite mysteries. Today, she's finally starting to look like an adult, but only just barely. The transformation here is that she's finally embracing her maturity and letting go of the perpetual student archetype. In her recent work, like Queen Sugar, she's allowed herself to look more lived-in and soulful. She's moved away from the youthful, trendy styles of her teen drama days and into a more sensual, mysterious woman vibe. She's still stunningly youthful, but there's a depth to her look now, a certain knowing in her eyes that makes her unrecognizable to those who only know her as the girl who never aged. She has traded the backpack for a much more sophisticated, textured style that highlights her status as a serious actress. Seeing her now, you finally see the woman she was always becoming, rather than the girl she was forced to stay. It's a refreshing change that shows she's ready for the next chapter of her career, and she's looking better than ever. 5. Tracee Ellis Ross. Tracee Ellis Ross started out her career navigating the immense shadow of her legendary mother, the incomparable Diana Ross, and her early look during the Girlfriends era was very much anchored in that specific early 2000s professional woman vibe.
Your episode was that in Girlfriends, your character Joan's wardrobe was largely your own closet.
Back then, it was all about the Joan Clayton aesthetic. Lots of structured blazers, neutral tones, and very controlled, polished hair. While she was always stunning, she was playing it safe within the boundaries of network television glamour. Today, however, Tracee has blossomed into a fearless fashion icon in her own right, world-renowned for her unapologetic "more is more" approach to vibrant color, massive volume, and avant-garde silhouettes. She has completely embraced the power of her natural hair, turning her signature curls into a massive, industry-disrupting beauty brand. Her look in 2026 is bold, quirky, and incredibly vibrant, marking a total departure from her early days. She has successfully moved from being a sitcom star to a creative visionary who uses high fashion as a form of joyful expression and legitimate high art. She's unrecognizable today because she's finally stepped fully into her own unique, incandescent light, which is far brighter and bolder than her early career ever hinted at. Her face has aged with a kind of joyful radiance that makes her look more alive than ever. By trading the constrained, conventional beauty of the past for a walking art piece aesthetic, she proves that life only gets more colorful and legendary as you go. 4. Regina Hall. Regina Hall spent years as the legendary, hilarious sidekick in the Scary Movie franchise, where her aesthetic was often comedically relatable, stunningly pretty for sure, but intentionally styled to be the best friend you could joke around with. Back in the early 2000s, her look was all about that approachable, girl-next-door energy that matched her high-octane slapstick performances. But over the last decade, Regina has undergone a massive, high-fashion glow-up that has catapulted her to a whole new level of global stardom. She has successfully transitioned from the funny girl we all loved into a formidable leading lady in sophisticated comedies and heavy-hitting dramas, and her personal style has shifted dramatically to match that elevated powerhouse status. Today, she's constantly seen rocking sleek, architectural, high-fashion looks on the red carpet that scream Hollywood royalty. She possesses a radiant, lit-from-within complexion that genuinely seems to get better and more luminous with every passing year. She looks more expensive and polished today than ever before, proving that her range extends far beyond the comedy she's mastered. This transformation is a masterclass in moving from approachable to modern icon. When you see her now, she carries a regal, polished aura that is miles away from the frantic slapstick energy of her early career. She's unrecognizable because she's finally being seen for the sophisticated, timeless beauty she always was, just with an elite wardrobe and a specific glow that only comes with true, hard-earned success. 3. Taraji P. Henson. Taraji P. Henson was a slow burn in Hollywood, starting with smaller, gritty roles in films like Baby Boy and Hustle and Flow. Her early look was very much street-smart and soulful, with a raw beauty that was undeniable. But then came Cookie Lion in Empire, and Taraji's look exploded into high-glam territory, and she never looked back. Today, she's a fashion chameleon who refuses to be put in a box. One day, she's rocking a neon wig and a futuristic bodysuit. The next, she's in a classic Hollywood gown with vintage waves. She's unrecognizable today because she refuses to stay in one lane. Her transformation is about her incredible versatility and her willingness to take massive risks. She's moved from the girl from the neighborhood to a global fashion force who treats every appearance like a performance. Her skin is flawless, her energy is infectious, and she seems to be aging in reverse while getting bolder with every passing year. The transformation is so significant because she shed the gritty label and replaced it with extravagant. Can you handle the final 2 transformations that actually broke the internet? Number 2. Viola Davis. Viola Davis has undergone a transformation that is less about aging and more about ascending. Viola was often cast in grounded, gritty roles where her look was intentionally understated to let her raw acting power shine. If you look at her during the Doubt era, she was the epitome of character actress. Fast forward to 2026, and Viola Davis has evolved into a literal fashion deity. She has become the undisputed queen of color, frequently stopping traffic in shocking pinks, lemon yellows, and royal blues that pop against her flawless skin. The most unrecognizable part? Her sheer confidence. She has traded the conservative working actor wigs for her stunning natural hair and architectural custom couture from brands like Gucci and Alexander McQueen. Recently, at the 2026 NAACP Image Awards, she served a golden goddess look that felt more like royal armor than a dress, proving she's no longer just an actress, she's a global icon. Seeing her today is a shock to the system because she carries a regal, EGOT-winning aura that makes her early, more humble red carpet appearances feel like they belong to a different person entirely. She is a masterclass in growing into your power and looking more vibrant at 60 than most do at 20. Number 1, Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington famously fixed the world as Olivia Pope in Scandal, and during that era, she was the face of polished professional beauty. Think neutral tones, perfect bobs, and structured coats. But in 2026, the gladiator in a suit is officially off-duty, and Kerry's new look is daring, experimental, and totally unfiltered. She has pivoted from the safe, sophisticated aesthetic into a high-fashion chameleon who breaks the internet weekly. Whether it's rocking wet-look side bangs at the 2026 BAFTAs or a completely sheer, sultry lace Zuhair Murad gown for her Imperfect Women premiere, she is taking risks we never saw coming during the Scandal days. Being honored as the 2026 Essence Black Women in Hollywood icon, her evolution has seen her embrace everything from microbobs to dramatic avant-garde silhouettes that feel miles away from the DC glam we all associated her with. She looks younger, edgier, and more untamed today than she did a decade ago. You won't recognize her because she has finally stepped out of Olivia Pope's shadow and into a version of herself that is bold, artistic, and completely unapologetic about her beauty. She is the ultimate proof that your prime is whenever you decide it is. Is it just good genes? Or did they actually find the secret fountain of youth? If you're as obsessed as we are, hit that subscribe button to keep your feed as legendary as these icons.